Hello everyone. Shall we start? So you all have learned motion in one dimension, in the horizontal direction and the vertical direction independently. Okay? But today I am going to tell you something very counterintuitive and surprising. Okay? Take a ball and drop it. Okay? It will hit the ground in some time. Okay? And I have dropped this ball from some height h. Now, from the same height h, if I throw a ball horizontally with some speed, let us take 10 meter per second or something, okay, then what will happen? This ball will go like this, okay, and it is obvious that this ball covers a large distance compared to the first ball, right? But surprisingly, both the balls will take same amount of time to hit the ground. Okay? Now take again these two balls, okay, and now throw these two balls again from the same height but with different speeds. The ball which I am throwing with, for example, 5 meter per second will cover some distance, okay, and I take another ball and I throw that horizontally with 10 meter per second, okay. Then I am drawing the ball here, but they both are at the same height, okay, that is important. So they both are at the same height, and this, if I throw with double the speed, then that will cover much larger distance. But again, these two balls hit the ground in the same amount of time. Okay, one more example. Now this is a ground and there is a table on the ground. Okay, I have kept one ball on the ground here and another ball on the table exactly above the first ball, and both the balls I kick horizontally with the same speed. Then what will happen? The ball which is on the top of the table, this will move like this and then it will fall like this, right? The second ball, which is just below the first ball, it is also kicked with the same speed, for example 5 meter per second. This also kicked by 5 meter per second, and then this will go like this. Again these two balls, the first ball, it covers larger distance, but these two balls, again to our surprise, will collide. It means that they are again taking same amount of time. So now, what is the inference of all these experiments which we have done? The important observation which comes from these three experiments is that the horizontal motion does not affect the vertical motion. That is the important observation which we observe from these three experiments. Okay? And what is the meaning of that? The meaning of that is, so what do we observe? That horizontal motion does not affect the vertical motion. So let us now understand that what is the meaning of this statement, of this observation, that horizontal motion does not affect the vertical motion. Okay? Again, let us go back to the case 1, where we have taken one ball, okay, and we have dropped that ball and it hits the ground in some time t. Okay? And then what we did, so this ball hits the ground in some time t. Okay? And we have taken another ball which we threw with some horizontal speed, okay, and then it covered longer distance, but again in time t. Okay? So what is the meaning of this? Again in time t. If this ground was not here, so for example, if I take this distance, okay, and this ball covers this much distance in time t1, then we will observe that the another ball, if I take same point here, okay, that ball will again cover that much distance in time t1.
Vertical.
Okay, right?
Even vertical.
Yes. Okay, again, yes, the vertical distance, right? Now, and from the same point, because both the balls are at the same height from the ground. What does this mean? That whatever, if we take the vertical speeds of this ball at the same, for example here, the vertical speed of the balls are also same. What does that mean? That this ball I gave some horizontal speed, that what it is doing in the horizontal direction is not affecting in the vertical direction. Okay, the vertical heights, the ball, or the vertical distance the ball is covering in the amount of time, that is same, and at the same height the vertical component of the velocity of the balls will also be same. Okay, so this shows, or this tells you that what the ball, how much speed it has in the horizontal direction is not affecting at all in the vertical direction. Okay, so basically what is the meaning of this? That the horizontal motion of the ball and the vertical motion of the ball, they both are decoupled. Okay, now we can also understand the same observation from the another case which we have taken. Okay, where what we have taken? We have taken two balls which we threw with different speeds, right? Okay, so let us, if this ball was we threw with 5 meter per second, and this ball we threw with 10 meter per second. Okay, then what we will observe? The ball which we threw with 5 meter per second will cover some distance. Okay, and also, but yeah, I have drew these balls like this, but both the balls are at the same height. Okay, just to show you, I have drawn like this. The ball which I have threw with 10 meter per second will cover much larger distance. Okay, but this and the amount of time these two balls will take, it's again the same. What does it mean? That you can just imagine these balls kept on the ground, okay, and then if I kick the ball with the same speed, it will cover the same distance, or it will take again the same amount of time. Okay, which shows that it does not matter whether this ball was kicked from a distance, let us take y. Okay, so here again the horizontal motion of these two balls, it is not affected by the vertical motion of the ball. Okay, so from all these experiments, it is very clear to us that the horizontal motion and the vertical motion of the balls, it is decoupled from each other. Okay, and all this information we can, and using this fact, so all this observation is already encoded in our kinematic equations. Okay, so we can use the kinematic equations in the y direction and the x direction independently. Okay, and whatever those kinematic equations we have already learned in the previous chapter in motion in one dimension, so you know how to calculate the amount of time a ball takes to cover distance s, okay, any distance, and you can also calculate separately the amount of distance the ball will take in the same amount of time, the distance in the x direction. Okay, now using all these facts and observations, we can now analyze the motion of the kicked ball at an angle theta. Okay, let us calculate that. So we are going to analyze the motion of a ball thrown at an angle theta with some initial velocity v naught. Okay. So how the path of the ball will look like? The path of the ball will look like this. Okay. And this is initial velocity of the ball. I am representing the initial velocity by v naught, and we know that any vector drawn at an angle theta with the x-axis can be resolved into two components. Okay, v naught x is the x component of the velocity vector v naught. Okay, and this is equal to v naught cos theta. We have already learned in the chapter of vectors, and the v naught y is the y component of velocity vector v naught, which is equal to v naught sin theta. Okay, where theta is the angle v is making with x-axis. Now, in order to understand this motion of a ball, we can imagine this as a combination of the horizontal and the vertical motion. Okay, so we know that in the horizontal direction there is no acceleration. Okay, so what will happen to the velocity or the speed of the ball if there is no acceleration in the horizontal direction? If there is no acceleration, then the speed of the ball will remain the same. Okay, it means that the horizontal component of the velocity will remain the same. Okay, let us mark this as O, and let me mark this as point A and this as point B. Okay, so going from O to B in the horizontal direction, v naught x will remain the same. Okay, throughout from O to B. Now, what will happen to the vertical component of the velocity? You can just imagine exactly in the same way as throwing the ball up to a certain height, and then ball is coming down again back to the same point. When the ball is thrown up, the speed of the ball will decrease, right? We all know that because there is acceleration due to gravity acting in the downward direction. Okay, and at the highest point, the speed of the ball will become 0. And when the ball will come down, again the speed will start increasing. Okay, so you can just think the ball is thrown up. This is the highest point. Here the speed has become 0. And when the ball comes down, the speed starts increasing. So we know that if we take any point in the path of the ball, the speed at that path, and when the ball is coming down at the same point from the ground, the speed will be same, right? We can just exploit the symmetry of this problem. That while going as the rate at which the speed is decreasing, when the ball is coming down, the rate at which the speed is increasing, they both are same. Okay. So now thinking about this motion, exactly similar thing is happening here. When the ball is thrown at an angle theta, then the vertical component of the ball will change. Okay, so the vertical component of ball is this much. Now at this point, if I want to draw the speed vertical component of the ball in the vertical direction, it decreases. So I can represent it like this. Whereas if I am representing horizontal component like this, the horizontal component, so we can just draw this little smaller, the resultant velocity of the ball is always tangential to the path, okay, path of the ball. So the resultant will be like this. Okay, so this is v naught vy, okay, vertical component v naught x remains the same. As you move further, the vertical component will become much smaller, okay, keeping the horizontal component same. So the resultant will be like this. Okay, this is a very important point to realize, that the horizontal component remains the same, whereas the vertical component is decreasing, and at the highest point, what will happen? It becomes 0, right? So at the topmost point, in the case of the projectile motion, the velocity is not zero. Okay, only the vertical component of the velocity is zero. It has the horizontal component. Okay, so at the highest point, still it has v naught x. Now, when you move further from the highest point, then the horizontal component again remains the same. The speed at the symmetrical point on the left hand side is same. Okay, only the direction will change. So earlier Vy was upward at the same distance on the right hand side from the highest point. It will like this. It will become like this, right? So now the resultant will be again tangential to the path of the object. Okay. Just we have to draw it nicely. Okay, this is v naught x and this is Vy and this is v naught. Now here if I want to draw, it remains the same. It will increase, the vertical component will increase. Okay, and when I come back to point B, then the speed of the ball will be exactly equal to the speed at which I have thrown the ball. Okay, what is the difference? The difference will be that if this is v naught x and if this is v naught y, okay, and this is v naught, then if initial velocity I'm representing as v naught x I cap, if I represent that in the vector notation, then so if we represent the initial velocity vector as v naught x I cap plus v naught y j cap, then what we will observe that when the ball reaches back to the ground, then again the speed remains same. Okay, only the direction of the vertical component will change. So what velocity I will get? The final velocity at point B will be v naught x, the horizontal component remains the same, I cap, whereas the vertical component of the velocity, the magnitude will remain the same, only the direction will change. So basically it will again become v naught y j cap. Okay, the velocity with which we have started. Okay, so now what we have learned that, so here also the speed is v naught x and this is vy. So here the velocity the vertical component which I am calculating, that is vy at time t. Okay, and that we can calculate with the help of the kinematic equation. Okay, vy is equal to v naught y plus g into t, right? If in this problem I am taking upward direction to be positive, okay, and downward direction to be negative. So whenever you have to calculate the speed of the ball at certain time t, then accordingly you can take the sign. You can calculate in time t, the vy will be v naught y minus g into t. Okay, you can calculate the vertical component at any time t. The most important point to understand is that what we have learned from the earlier lecture also, that the amount of time the ball takes from O to B will be equal to the amount of time the ball will take if it goes from O to A to B. Okay, which is very, very useful observation, and which again tells you that which will help you also to calculate how much distance the ball has traveled along the horizontal direction, and you can also calculate the maximum height up to which the ball will go. Okay, but before doing all those calculations, let us first check mathematically that what will be the equation of the trajectory of the ball. Okay, and by trajectory I mean the shape of the path of the ball which it takes. So for example, if I switch on the sprinkler and the water is coming out from the sprinkler, then the path or the shape of the path which the water will take. Okay, so basically I have to write y as a function of x. Okay, and how do I do that? That is very, very simple. At any instant t, I'll just make it a little small so that it remains here. At any instant t, I can write x as a function of time. So it will be v naught, the speed of the ball along the x direction is v naught x. Okay, so it will be v naught x into t. There is no acceleration. Okay, so I can find the x coordinate of the ball using this equation. Then at the same instant, I can also find the y coordinate of the ball. Okay, as a function of time. Same instant t, I can write y is equal to v naught y. We can use the kinematic equation s is equal to ut plus half at square. Okay, in this equation I am taking the initial velocity to be v naught y in time t, and my acceleration a will become minus g because I am taking downward direction to be negative. Okay, so I can write this as minus half gt square. Okay, so at any instant time t, the x and y coordinates for this ball are given by this. Now what we have to do, I want to write y as a function of x. So what I can do, I can just eliminate t from these two equations. Okay, from equation 1, t is equal to x upon v naught x. Putting this is from equation 1. Putting this value of t in equation 2. Okay, what do I get? Y is equal to v naught y x over v naught x, okay, minus half g. In place of t, again I will write x over v naught x whole square. Okay, now let us rearrange this equation in a little nicer way. So I can write v naught y. We know the value of v naught y and v naught x. Okay, v naught y is v naught sine theta, v naught x is v naught cos theta into x minus half g. I just take v naught x separately and x square. Okay, now this is a very, very nice form. Here I can write v naught sine theta over v naught cos theta x minus half g v naught square cos square theta x square. Okay, so I get tan theta x minus half g over v naught square cos square theta. Okay, this is the equation of y as a function of x, and I can write this as ax plus bx square, where a is equal to tan theta and b is equal to minus half g over v naught square cos square theta, form of equation of a parabola. And that's why we say that when we throw a ball with angle theta, it follows a parabolic path. Okay, and a and b are the constants which I can calculate with the help of the boundary conditions. Okay, so basically that will depend upon at what angle and with what speed you have thrown the ball. So all that information is given in the constants a and b. Okay, that will be specific to a problem. So this is equal to minus half g over v naught square cos square theta. Okay, So this is an equation of a parabola. So now what we have learnt is that if a ball is thrown at an angle theta, then it will have a horizontal component of the velocity and it will have a vertical component of the velocity. Then it will follow a parabolic path. So now I think you all have understood, okay, that what kind of path the ball will take. Now I would like to pose a question for you all, okay. So you all think about that question and we'll come back with the answer, we'll discuss the answer in the next lecture. So the question is, a person is sitting in an open car, okay, which is going with a constant velocity, okay, and the person who is sitting in the car, he throws a ball upward, okay. Then you have to tell me that where will the ball land.